Deep in the rural wilderness of Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, the silence of the forest is broken only by the crunch of boots on the riverbank. It is late 2025, 8 months since the community was shattered by the disappearance of 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan. A small group of volunteers from the organization, Please Bring Me Home, moves methodically through the dense brush. They are searching for a miracle, or perhaps the closure that has eluded this province for nearly a year. The water of the river moves slowly downstream, a dark ribbon winding through the thick timber. Suddenly, a searcher freezes. Something unnatural is caught in the shallow water near the muddy bank, reaching into cold current. They pull out a waterlogged, mysterious box. The contents are chilling. Inside are damp, deteriorating papers covered in ink. Though some names have been blurred by the water, one remains hauntingly legible: Daniel Martel. He is the stepfather of the missing children. This isn't just a random piece of trash. It is a potential breakthrough. Within hours, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrived to take formal possession of the evidence. The discovery immediately reignites a firestorm of questions. How did a box containing the name of the children's stepfather end up in a river downstream from where the siblings were last seen? To understand the weight of this moment, we have to go back to May 2nd, 2025. According to their mother, Molly I.A. Brooks Murray and Daniel Martel, the children vanished from their home while the adults napped with their 16-month-old baby. What followed was one of the largest search operations in Nova Scotia's history. Over 160 trained volunteers, helicopters, drones, and cadaver dogs scoured nearly 40 kilometers of wilderness. Yet, despite the scale of the effort, not a single trace of Lily or Jack was found. No shoes, no clothing, no scent trails. Until now, this box represents the first piece of physical evidence that links the family directly to the environment where the children disappeared. The initial search for Lily and Jack Sullivan was a masterclass in professional rescue operations, but as the weeks turned into months, the intensive phase naturally scaled back. This is the agonizing standard procedure in missing persons cases. When systematic combing yields nothing, the case transitions into a targeted investigation. However, the community of Nova Scotia refused to let the silence settle. While the RCMP moved behind the scenes, family members and concerned citizens kept the boots on the ground. Interestingly, it was the children's estranged grandmother, Belinda Gray, who initiated this new wave of searching. She was the one who reached out to Please Bring Me Home. This detail has not gone unnoticed by those following the case. It wasn't the mother, it wasn't the stepfather who filled out the intake forms or begged for more eyes in the woods. It was the grandmother. This suggests a fractured family dynamic where the drive for the truth is coming from the extended family rather than the immediate household. On the day of the discovery, approximately 40 volunteers divided into 6 teams. The terrain was brutal: steep banks, thick brush, and treacherous water hazards. The search coordinator emphasized safety, as cell service was non-existent and walkie-talkies struggled against the geography. This was a difficult, dangerous operation managed with high-stakes precision. Before the box was found, another team located a boy's T-shirt. Though the family later claimed the shirt did not belong to Jack, it was turned over to the RCMP for forensic analysis. Every thread, every scrap of fabric matters in a case this cold. Then came the river discovery. The searchers found the box in a location that demands geographical scrutiny. It was downstream from the main search area. In the logic of a river, objects move with the current. This implies the box either entered the water upstream near the family property and floated down, or was deliberately placed in that specific shallow spot. Investigators must now determine the origin. Was it discarded in a moment of panic? Or was it hidden there, intended to be lost to the silt and the current forever? The RCMP's response to the box was both immediate and significant. Officers were already on duty that day specifically to handle any potential leads found by the volunteers. When the box was reported, they didn't just take a report, they took the box. The search coordinator noted that the police expressed significant interest in the find, a phrase that carries heavy weight in an active investigation. While the full list of names found inside has not been released to the public, the alleged presence of Daniel Martel's name has turned the eyes of the nation back onto the stepfather. Right now, Forensic analysts are likely performing a battery of tests that most of us only see in movies. First is the physical integrity of the box. They are examining the material to see how long it could survive in the water before the papers inside were destroyed. They are looking for fingerprints and touch DNA, though water is a notorious enemy of biological evidence. Then, there is the handwriting. If the names were written by someone connected to the case, handwriting analysis can provide a fingerprint of the mind. They will compare the pressure of the ink, the slant of the letters, and the specific formations against known samples from the family and associates. The context of the names is the biggest mystery. Was this a list of people? A series of notes? A record of communication? If the box contains names of individuals involved in the search or the family's inner circle, it could represent a record of planning or an attempt at record-keeping that someone later realized was incriminating. The act of placing a box of names in a river is a specific behavior. It suggests a desire to dispose of information without completely destroying it, or perhaps a failed attempt at total destruction. If the box was meant to be gone forever, the river failed to keep it secret. Investigators are now tracing the box's origin. Was it a common household item? Can it be linked to a specific store or a specific date of purchase? Every detail is a lead. In the world of true crime and missing persons investigations, what isn't said is often as important as what is said. Since the discovery of the box and the subsequent viral video documenting the search, which has garnered over 300,000 views, there has been a glaring absence of a public reaction from the children's parents. Daniel Martel and Molly I.A. Brooks-Murray have remained silent. Behavioral analysts and deception experts have pointed out that this lack of curiosity is highly unusual for parents of missing children. When a potential clue is found, a parent who genuinely does not know where their children are will typically experience a surge of hope or anxiety. They ask questions. What was in the box? Does the handwriting look familiar? Could this lead to my babies? In this case, there has been no public inquiry, no request for information, and no sharing of the discovery on social media to help identify the box. To experts who study the psychology of the innocent versus the guilty, this absence of curiosity can be a red flag. It suggests that the individuals may not need to ask the questions because they already know the answers. Furthermore, the parents' absence from the community search itself was noted by everyone on the ground. When 40 strangers and neighbors showed up to trek through dangerous woods for Lily and Jack, the parents were nowhere to be seen. Only the grandmother, Belinda Gray, stood with the searchers. While the RCMP stated in July 2025 that they did not yet consider the case criminal, they explicitly refused to rule out that the disappearance was suspicious. This distinction is vital. It means that while no charges have been filed, the authorities are looking at the behavior of the adults in the home with extreme scrutiny. The behavioral profile being built by analysts paints a picture of a household that is disengaged from the public search for their own children, leaving the burden of discovery to the community and a waterlogged box in a lonely river. To truly understand why this box discovery is so vital, one must understand the difficulty of searching the Nova Scotia wilderness. The search coordinator, an experienced professional, noted that it was increasingly hard to believe the children simply wandered off. This is a sentiment shared by many who know the Lansdowne Station area. Professional search and rescue teams use systematic probability of detection methods. They use thermal imaging drones and highly trained dogs that can pick up the scent of a child from great distances. If Lily and Jack had walked into those woods on the morning of May 2nd, the dogs should have found a trail. If they had succumbed to the elements, the cadaver dog should have signaled. The fact that an intensive, immediate search involving hundreds of people and high-tech equipment found absolutely nothing suggests one of two things. Either the children were never in those woods, or they were removed from the area by someone who knew how to avoid detection. The search coordinator's observation that the area had been flagged and searched so thoroughly that a needle should have been found points toward a more sinister explanation. The river itself is a tactical choice for someone looking to hide evidence. Water is a natural cleanser. It washes away the who, what, and where of a crime scene. If the box was placed in the river after the initial professional search had ended, it indicates a consciousness of guilt. It means someone returned to the scene of the disappearance to dispose of evidence they realized they couldn't keep. Investigators are currently checking tire tracks and vehicle access points upstream. They are looking for signs of recent disturbance in the silt and the banks. If they can prove the box was placed there months after the disappearance, it proves the case is not just a tragic accident of two children getting lost in the woods. It proves there's a living, breathing trail of evidence that someone is trying to erase. As we reach the 8-month mark since Lily and Jack Sullivan vanished, the Unsolved Archive continues to peel back the layers of this mystery. The box in the river is more than just a piece of evidence. It is a symbol of the community's refusal to let these children be forgotten. It is a reminder that even when the official searches scale back, the truth has a way of floating to the surface. The RCMP is currently operating in a cone of silence, which is common in high-stakes investigations. They are protecting the integrity of the evidence, ensuring that if this lead leads to an arrest, the case is bulletproof. The questions we are left with are the ones that keep investigators awake at night. Why was a box of names created? Why was Daniel Martel's name clear when others were faded? And why would such a document be discarded in a river? If this was a hit list, a witness list, or simply a record of people involved in a private matter, its presence near the site of a disappearance is an extraordinary coincidence, one that the law rarely believes in. The absence of parental engagement remains the dark cloud over the case, a behavioral anomaly that keeps the public suspicion firmly planted on the home. The Please Bring Me Home organization has shown that volunteerism can change the course of an investigation. They found what the drones and helicopters missed. As the forensic results from the box eventually make their way to the detectives, the pressure on those involved will only increase. If you have any information about the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan, or if you recognize the description of the box found in the river, you are urged to contact the Pictou County District RCMP or submit a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers. No detail is too small. Every name on a piece of paper, every T-shirt in the woods is a step closer to bringing Lily and Jack home. We will continue to follow this case, analyzing every development, because some stories are too important to let fade into silence.